Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my pros and cons and consideration for putting my girls into a co-op. I have considered this several times off and on over the last 3 or 4 years, and so I just want to share with you guys my thoughts. My name is Morgan here at the Life of Tillmans. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you've been here before, welcome back. Over the years, I've just thought about a co-op. I'm like, well, what if we did this? Or, you know, just try it. So many of our friends in our homeschool community are in co-ops and they go like Tuesdays and Thursdays or Tuesday, Wednesday, a couple of days, and then they go home and they do their work. And it sounds easy and you can do it, right? But the more I started thinking about it, I really had to put on paper why I was considering it. Those are my pros, things that I feel like it would benefit our family. And then cons, reason why I'm like, no, I don't think this is for us. I do this naturally with things anyway, and I come back to it and I review it and I take reasons off or I add things or I say this doesn't apply anymore or seasons change and all the things. So I just wanted to share my thoughts with you guys. All right. So my first reason or pro, I'm going to start with the pros. Pros for considering a co-op. Number one is different activities. And when I'm talking activities, I'm talking about things like science fairs, speech and debate. Those are the two things that really popped out in my mind. Different stuff that you really need a group of people to be able to do, like if it's some type of competition, spelling bees. And I know that there's sometimes you can offer spelling bees, but usually where we are, it's not outside of the public school system. So I would need a community of people already doing those types of things or find a group in order to make it work for my girls. Um, and I'm not doing that right now. So I know co-ops that have those options available. And I thought that would be really cool to have, especially my middle daughter, because she loves science, into some type of science fair. And my oldest daughter loves speech and debate. Public speaking is another one of those things. Our girls do some speaking things at our church, but it's not on a regular basis. So I would love for them to be able to have that opportunity. That was a pro in my mind. The second thing, which I hear a lot of parents say, is just accountability. I don't know if anybody else struggles with this, but there is a struggle with my children seeing me as the teacher and not the mom, and holding them accountable or holding themselves accountable, because I hold them accountable. But then, it's not always the most pleasant experience. And sometimes my mama heart comes out and I'm like, oh, I'll give you more time, or, things like that. We're in a learning environment and that's okay. But I think our children need to know that deadlines need to be met, assignments need to be completed in a timely manner. Like, those are types of things that, even though we are homeschooling our children and we have the freedom to release some of those things, to me, those are traits that we need to teach our children to be good people. I mean, to be reliable people, to understand that there are boundaries. When you have a job or you start your own business, you cannot just set a deadline, and then when that deadline comes, you make an excuse as to why you can't meet it, especially when other people are depending on you. So this is probably more so of a thing to help teach great character. And while I can teach them character, we can go through character traits. We can read things in character, books and, biblical things about character and all of that. They need an opportunity to know what it's like to be held accountable outside of your own home, in my opinion. So for me, that is another pro for a co-op. Another thing that I thought of, and this may or may not be true, is just having what I consider or could be an easier path to graduation. Meaning, these co ops, if they are educational or academic co ops, they have curriculum lined out. They can help you with getting your child on a path to dual enrollment or trade school or whatever it is that they're trying to do based off of the curriculum that they have chosen, getting your child in advanced placement courses, that type of thing. Yes, I can do all of those things at home. I know that. However, to me, there's a possibility of a different path. A lot of our homeschool friends who do co op, they do not have to put together their child's transcript. The co-op does that for them, so they get grades. So it's like going to school, but they're only there a couple of days a week. They're held accountable during the week. They have to do their own thing. But possibility of what I would call, like, I'm just going to say, an easier path and a little bit less work on me for that to be lined out for my girls. Another reason would be to outsource different subjects. People do that all the time. Maybe your child is taking, I don't know, calculus or whatever it may be, and that's just not your area of specialty, the relationship is more important than the curriculum. And if that is a need, then I say go for it. There are some subjects that sometimes I feel like having a different perspective outside of me would benefit my girls some. And so there are a couple of subjects specifically that I would outsource through a co op. And I'm still running through these thoughts in my mind. That's kind of why I'm like sitting here stuttering, because more things come up as I think about this, but that's why I have to put things down on paper, because we can jumble up our thoughts and it's like, wait, I was thinking this, but wait, I wasn't. But I have it on paper, so I know exactly what I was thinking when I started this process. And any additional things that come up, I can either add them or I can take away some things on this list to really help me make that decision. That's just my thought process. But going back to the easier path, I don't necessarily want this process to be easy. It has not been easy thus far. I'm just wondering if it would help in the situation in preparation and planning as my daughters start to move through high school and having some of those advanced placement courses and things like that. So going back to outsourcing, that is also a piece of that. I mean, I love math, but I don't know that I could walk my child through an AP calculus course. That may be a time where we have to outsource to a co-op. Some other reasons for a co-op for me, and this is kind of like dual, like I can get a benefit either direction that I go, but getting more time to spend with my younger daughter. So if my older daughters are at co-op on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then I can be doing work and really getting more concentrated time on Tuesdays and Thursdays with my younger daughter. On the flip side of that, my younger daughter also enjoys group learning. So a co-op would be good for her as well to get that group learning experience once or twice a week because she enjoys doing that. I think because there's such a big age gap between my middle daughter and my youngest, that it's helpful for her to be around children her own age. And I'm not talking for socialization, you guys, just to see what it's like to be around kids your own age. My middle daughter is 4 years older than her. At this stage of life, that's like a world of difference for them. And she's never known anything else. So to give her an opportunity to see other things in an educational setting, not just an extracurricular setting, I think would be helpful for her as well. But that takes away the independent time that she and I would get with her learning. Okay, so those are my pros. And hopefully that all makes sense. I put my thoughts out there, and I know some people are gonna be like, this is confusing, but just let me know in the comments and I'll try to clarify as much as I can. So let's talk about cons, because I do find that cons pop up in my mind when I think about us transitioning to a co-op for our homeschool learning. One of the things that popped in my mind is that I have worked really hard over the last 6 to 7 years to individualize my girls' learning. And if they go off to a co-op, that goes away as far as the curriculum types that they are able to use, because they will have to use whatever curriculum the co-op has chosen, which may not be the most beneficial for my child. It also could potentially not be on the level that my child is on. Like I said, I have a sixth grader doing pre-algebra. And while I'm sure they would, I would think, be okay with her taking a pre-algebra course as a sixth grader, if they're not using what she has been using, then there may be gaps that are in there, which could cause a problem. So just thinking about that, I'm like, I don't know if that's the best thing, especially if I were to send my youngest daughter to a co-op, because I have really worked over the last couple of years for sure with her to pick out what it is that I feel like is best for her learning at this stage and where she is, meeting her where she is. And yeah, that's not going to be an option at a co-op. The next thing is a time commitment. A lot of the co-ops that we have here require the parents to volunteer a specific amount of time to be there. You may even have to teach a class, things like that. I'm not opposed to doing those things. However, if I only send my two oldest daughters, then that wouldn't be an option because I would have to be working there as well. We also have co-ops that are non-drop-off co-ops, meaning you cannot just drop your children off and go and do other things. You have to stay there on campus in some capacity. And that's just not realistic for us, especially if I only send my oldest two daughters. That would not work for me and my youngest daughter. If I sent all three of the girls, then yes, that could work out. So yeah, that's a con as well. Another con that I thought of is cost. Sending them to a co-op costs money. It's not an extreme amount, but it does cost money. And the more children you have, the more money it costs. The more classes they take, the more money it costs. So I'm thinking about the financial aspect of it as well. I can definitely spend less money buying curriculum and keeping them home and we work on things as we have done before than if I send them to a co-op, which would then come a monthly fee on top of buying any books that they may need for the co-op. A few other things that I've thought of is time with my girls. This is how homeschool initially kind of came about. Was we didn't get into the schools that we were trying to get them into, and that was all God. And it's like I started out before even thinking about homeschooling. I was really just focused on wanting to spend more time with my very young girls, my older two at the time. And then we kind of transitioned into the education piece and, oh, if they are going off to school, then I get less time. And then it was like, oh, let's transition to the homeschool. So that's kind of how that process went. And they'll be gone. They'll be gone during the day. And yes, it may only be 5 hours, 2 days a week, but that's still 10 hours a week that I'm not getting with my girls. And I really love the environment and the relationship that we are building every day and how we work together and us doing some family subjects. And I'm enjoying that. And I don't think that I'm really ready to let go of those things. Another thing about co ops, too, is diversity. And I know that some people will understand this and agree with it, and others will condemn it and not be okay with it. However, in our lives, I strive for, look for, seek out diversity. And that means that I want to see all people in the environments for which we are in as much as possible. And a lot of the co ops that we would be able to go to, there is a lack of diversity. And I think in anyone's life, no matter what race you are, you have to actively seek out diversity in your life in order to have it, because that is not a natural thing, I think, for us to do. And so I would like to see diversity in where we are as much as possible. Not only diversity in the people, but also diversity in the learning as well. Um, and those are just some things that when I have done a lot of extensive research on co ops, there's not as much diversity, if any, in a lot of the co ops for our area. And so that to me is a con. I want our girls to be in a diverse environment because that is the world that we live in. Our world is diverse, and I want to continue that in all things that we are doing as much as possible. So those are my thoughts on co-ops. Let me know what you think down in the bottom. If you are in a co-op, things you love about it. If you're in a co-op and things you don't like about it. Why you started a co-op. I want to hear all the things. Put it down in the comments, and I will see you guys around for another video. Bye.